Oh no! What's this? Don't tell me the bridge is closed. We are riding along the O'Shannessy Aqueduct. It used to look like this when it had water in it and there weren't so many trees. The D-slip bridge was built in the 1940s because there was a big avalanche or landslip here, and it took the canal away and it carved out a big gully. Right, someone's even put something to the sign, the official sign. This is an important walking and bike riding track, and now it's cut in the middle. It's been like that for months, and I guess Parks Victoria haven't got the money or the time to fix it up. They're probably spending it all on woke projects. You can still do the trail without the bridge, but you've got to go down this gully, and I can assure you when it's wet it's very dangerous and you slip and fall on your arse. I don't know how you take bikes down there and up again. Someone at least has tried to carve some steps in there, but still not too good when it's all muddy, which it is around here often. As the sign says, this has been like this for months. This was all closed off, but looks like people have taken it to their own account and opened it up. Now, no doubt it is quite dangerous, but because it hasn't been fixed, people are going across it and taking the risk. It is a long way down. It would have been quite a heavy weight with all that water, and they have done some maintenance over the years, but not a lot. And the aqueduct was decommissioned in the 1990s. It must have been very exciting when the slip occurred and all that water pouring down. At least there's steps down the other side, leading to an old maintenance shed that needs maintenance itself. We can look right down into the sawmill at Millgrove. This looks quite modernish, well for here it does anyhow, and it's probably put in after the big landslip to prevent water flowing uncontrolled again. They could just turn it off here by lowering that tap thing or the valve, big squeezy thing. This is one of the filters used to get rid of sediment, because when the aqueduct went across numerous creeks around here, they tapped off some of the water to put into Melbourne Supply, and they didn't want all the stones and grit, so they had these filter arrangements. They planted a big pine forest to try and stabilise the slip area. We'll just have a look at this little old book. Public Works took a great pride in landscaping in 1915. Some bigwigs from the MMBW checking out a siphon basin. Looks so nicely finished off. The siphon over the Yarra River at Woorolloc. When the big slip occurred, they built a wooden pipe just like this to bypass the canal while the bridge was being constructed. It was going to flow into the Alinda Reservoir and on to the Surrey Hills Reservoir. Some of the construction techniques. Apart from horses, there wasn't much mechanisation. There are bridges for the timber tramways to pass over. This is the entrance to one of the siphons. This one goes under the Don Valley. The control valves here so they could adjust the amount of water going down the siphon or close it off if they needed to. Okay, here's the entrance to the siphon. This is the one under the Dee River. Now the water would come from the canal there, swirl around this pit here, and then go down these tubes here, 100 metres below the river and up again. And those grids weren't actually over the tubes when the thing was running. And yeah, if you were stuck in the canal, you just float down. You couldn't get out. The current was so hard, so much. You'd be swirling around there and then down the tube. There was a bit of an emergency system. The last few hundred metres towards the siphon here, they had chains dangled across the canal every few hundred metres, so you had three chances. If you were stuck in the canals floating down or being pushed along, you can't get out, you could grab on to one of these chains and hopefully pull yourself out. And if you missed the three chances, you end up in this swirling pit just going round and round with all the tiger snakes, red-bellied blacks swirling around, and cows and kangaroos, and then you'd be sucked down the siphon pipe right down through here. There were no grids on it then. You just go right down into the centre of the earth, pop up somewhere else. Maybe be alive, maybe not, who knows. It'd be a terrible experience. Used to have nightmares about it. Oh dear, it was terrible. So there we are, the siphon pit. This is an example of the concrete bridges over the aqueduct to facilitate the logging industry that was rife here in the early to mid part of the 20th century. A lot of erosion now due to feral deer. Now this was once a substantial bench track. In fact, they even had a railway line coming down here, but now it's almost completely overgrown. This first bit you can get through, but after a few hundred metres it's almost impossible. You can actually go up to the top of the mountain up to the Bencan Road. Basically this is all regrowth from 1939. In the 1970s the old trees were still quite obvious, but go back to the early 50s and the 400-year-old 300-foot trees were just towering above the regrowth. We can see here below us the D-slip ridge and the pine forest around the area. As extraordinary as it may seem, I've had the opportunity to fly over these forests at low level, and I can tell you, when you open the door and step out on the rail, the smell of the eucalyptus is overpowering, even against the jet fuel smell. It's just like being a human drone flying across the treetops. A little hidden valley that no one's probably been to for 100 years. This Betacam footage isn't at higher quality, but I did take some slides of some of the old pre-1939 skeletons still rising above the treetops. That's the O'Shaughnessy Reservoir that feeds the aqueduct. Well, we've gone off topic a bit, but not to worry, we'll see you on the next Videomatic. Oh, look at that. That was fun.